My name is Margaret Ellis, and I'm 77 years old. I wasn't expecting a grand celebration or a parade in my honor. All I had hoped for was a quiet dinner at my son's house, a simple meal, a chair at the table, and a few hours surrounded by the family I had poured my whole life into. I had just finished adjusting the burgundy dress I usually wore on meaningful occasions. It wasn't fancy, just clean and respectable. The kind of dress my daughter-in-law, Clara, couldn't easily criticize. I glanced at the clock. It was just past 6. Dinner was supposed to begin at 7. That's when my phone buzzed. I reached for my glasses, expecting a reminder from my son Daniel or maybe a last-minute question about dessert. But instead, I saw a message that knocked the breath out of me. You're not invited. Clara doesn't want you here. 8 words. Not a phone call, not even a conversation. Just a text. For a moment, I thought it had to be some sort of mistake. Maybe Daniel had typed it to the wrong person. Maybe his phone had been hacked? But no, it was his number. It was his tone. I sat down slowly, still staring at the glowing screen. My heart wasn't just breaking. It was unraveling thread by thread. Memories spilled in, uninvited. Daniel clinging to my hand on his first day of school. Daniel at 12, sobbing when his puppy passed away. Daniel introducing me to Clara, full of joy and nerves. And now Daniel, a grown man, dismissing me with a cold text. I didn't cry. I didn't even move. I just sat in silence. But something shifted inside me that night. After all the years of giving, maybe it was time to stop showing up for people who clearly didn't want me there. I rose from my chair and walked to an old oak desk my mother had left me, one I used to keep all my important papers in. Every folder was neatly labeled, every receipt carefully tucked away. I pulled out the thickest one, the one labeled Daniel. Inside was a record of my sacrifices. A $20,000 check to help him launch his first business, one that collapsed within a year. Tuition payments. When Clara went back to school to get her real estate license. Transfers for roof repairs. A down payment on their home. Even invoices for the kitchen remodel Clara insisted on. Each paper wasn't just financial proof. It was a reminder. My wallet had been their safety net. My name had been written in invisible ink on every corner of that house. Just 6 months earlier, Daniel had called me, brimming with excitement. He told me they had found the perfect home, a townhouse near the river, part of a prestigious new development. Mom, it's a place for all of us, he said. You'll even have your own corner. But apparently, that corner didn't come with a chair at the dinner table. I glanced at the glossy brochure still sitting on my counter. I had put down $120,000 for their down payment. Not as a loan. Not as an investment. As a gift. My way of saying, I'm here. I care. And now it felt like I had spent money to exile myself from their lives. For the first time, I asked myself the question I had avoided for years. Was this love? Or just a long transaction? That night, I didn't make excuses for Daniel or Clara. I didn't defend their choices. I simply sat with the truth. I had been giving for decades, and they had gotten used to it. I didn't sleep. That text kept circling in my head like a cruel echo. Not invited. Clara doesn't want you there. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I brewed myself a strong cup of tea, laid the stack of documents on the kitchen table, and picked up the phone. Good morning, Willowbank Community Bank. How can I help you? My name is Margaret Ellis, I said firmly. I need to suspend all automatic payments from my accounts. Effective immediately. There was a pause. All payments, ma'am? Yes. Every single one. And revoke the power of attorney granted to my son, Daniel Ellis. The clerk hesitated, then said, That's a significant change, Mrs. Ellis. We'll need your signature later, but I can begin the suspension right now. That's exactly what I want, I said. When she confirmed that all 160 recurring payments were blocked, I thanked her, hung up, and felt something inside me exhale. I hadn't realized how heavy the weight was. Decades of small compromises, dismissals, and holidays spent alone while still footing the bills. That morning, I didn't just cancel payments. I reclaimed my life. A little later, my phone buzzed again. Daniel. I didn't answer. Instead, I typed a short reply, looked at it for a long moment, and finally pressed send. Time to pay your own way. Then I shut the phone off. By the time Daniel showed up at my doorstep, the kettle was already whistling on the stove. He didn't knock politely. He rang the bell with that sharp impatience that screamed he wasn't here for conversation. He was here for control. I opened the door. He stepped inside without waiting. Mom, what's going on? He asked, his worry barely covering his irritation. The mortgage bounced. Clara's car payment didn't go through. The bank called about the suspensions. Did you cancel everything? Yes, I said evenly. I did. He blinked. All of it? Every transaction? All 160 of them, I replied. Daniel dropped into the living room chair, as if the wind had been knocked out of him. But why? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I simply said, "You told me I wasn't welcome in your house. The house I helped pay for. You let Clara tell me I didn't belong. And you didn't even try to stop her." His mouth opened, stammering. Clara was upset. I didn't mean it. You didn't mean to say it, I asked quietly. Or you didn't mean for there to be consequences? He looked away. I poured 2 cups of tea, placing one in front of him. He didn't touch it. "Mom, we have bills, tuition, loans. You've always helped us," he said. I did. I nodded. But my help became expected. And then it became invisible. He tried to speak again, but I raised my hand. "Tell me one thing you've done for me, Daniel," I asked softly. One thing, not because you had to, but because you wanted to. One thing that wasn't tied to you needing money. He sat there, in silence. And in that silence, I found my answer. 2 days later, it wasn't Daniel at my door. It was his son, my grandson Ethan. He looked worn out, shirt wrinkled, hair a mess, dark circles under his eyes. He dropped onto the couch with a heavy sigh. "Grandma, I'm in trouble," he said. "My credit card's frozen. I can't pay rent. My car's overdue. I don't know what to do." I sat across from him, calm, composed. "How much do you owe?" "About $7,000, he admitted. "And what did you spend it on?" He shrugged, avoiding my eyes. "A new phone, a trip with friends, some nights out stuff." I nodded slowly. "Ethan, you've been working for 2 years now, at that insurance firm, haven't you?" "Yeah," he mumbled. "Then why haven't you learned to manage your money?" His shoulders slumped. In that moment, he didn't look like a 23-year-old man. He looked like a child who had never been taught limits. "I guess I always thought Mom, Dad, or you would help me out." "That's the problem," I said firmly. "All of you have treated me like the emergency plan. But I'm not your bank. I'm not your safety net." He leaned forward, desperation seeping into his voice. "Grandma, please. Just this once. I promise I'll pay you back." "No," I said. "Not this time." He blinked, stunned. "But," I continued, "I will offer you something else. My lawyer, Mr. Hawthorne, is looking for a part-time assistant. Answering phones, filing paperwork. It won't cover everything, but it's honest work." Ethan stared at me. "You'd do that for me?" "I love you," I said gently. "But I'm done enabling you. My love is no longer measured in money. It's measured in truth. And the truth is, it's time for you to stand on your own." For the first time, he didn't hear yes. For the first time, he heard no. Not out of anger, but out of love. And he didn't quite know what to do with it. That evening, as the sun dipped low, my granddaughter Sophia showed up with a bag of groceries. She didn't come asking for anything. She didn't come to plead for her parents. She simply knocked softly and said, "Hi, Grandma." I brought dinner. We unpacked the groceries together. She chopped vegetables while I boiled pasta. After a while, she asked quietly, "Are you okay?" I looked at her, really looked. Sophia had always been different. Thoughtful. Gentle. She never asked for much. She called on my birthday. She visited just because. She hugged me a little tighter, stayed a little longer. "I'm okay," I said. "For the first time in a long time, I think I'm truly okay." She smiled softly. "Good, because I think you're doing the right thing." "You do?" I asked. She nodded. "I've seen how they use you. Especially Mom. She's always dressed in the best, driving the best, eating out, and somehow, it's always you paying. You've taken care of everyone for too long. It's time someone took care of you." Her words hit me deeply. She was no longer just a girl. She was a woman who saw the truth clearly. We sat down to eat, just the 2 of us. No tension, no demands. Just a simple meal and honest conversation. Before leaving, she hugged me tightly. "I'll always be here for you, Grandma. Not for your money. For you." And that's all I ever wanted. The next day, Daniel called again. His voice was tense, rehearsed. "Mom, we need to talk as a family." "Tomorrow at 2, I said calmly. "My house. No surprises." But of course, there were surprises. At exactly 2, Daniel arrived. He looked worn down, his shirt wrinkled, eyes tired. "Mom," he said, "Clara invited some others. Her parents, her sister. They want to talk too." I walked to the window and froze. Several cars had pulled into my driveway. Out stepped Clara in full glamour, flanked by her parents and siblings. Even a few of their friends. "You brought an audience?" I asked. He hesitated. She thought. I cut him off. When the doorbell rang, I opened it slowly. Clara stood tall, her family behind her. "Good afternoon, Margaret," she said loudly, her voice carrying like she was on stage. "We're here to discuss this situation as a family." "This is my home," I said quietly. "Not a courtroom. Not a boardroom. My home. And I didn't invite all of them." Her smile faltered. "You, Daniel, Ethan, and Sophia may come in," I continued. "The rest can wait outside or leave." Clara's face hardened. She turned to her family. "Please wait in the cars. We won't be long." Once inside, it was just the four of them. "So," I said, calm but firm, "who wants to tell me what this circus is really about?" Clara jumped in, her words sharp. "Your decision affects all of us. My parents' retirement, Daniel's responsibilities, Ethan's future. We need you to reconsider." I listened, arms crossed, silent. When she finally stopped to breathe, I asked, "And when did I become responsible for all of that?" No one answered, because they knew the truth. They weren't here to mend relationships. They were here to protect their lifestyle. Daniel's voice finally broke the silence. "Mom, we've relied on your help for years. We just didn't think you'd stop." "Exactly," I said. "You didn't think. You just took." I turned to Ethan. "How many times have you visited me just because you wanted to? Not because you needed something?" He looked down. "And Clara," I continued, "tell me one thing you've ever done for me, without expectation." She opened her mouth, closed it, nothing. "What hurts isn't the money," I said softly. "It's the erasure. The way I disappear from your hearts the moment I stop paying." Clara's voice turned cold. "This is manipulation. You're trying to guilt us." "No," I said firmly. "For once, I'm telling you the truth." She stood abruptly. "You'll regret this. When you're old and alone, you'll regret pushing us away." I didn't flinch. "Family isn't a word you throw around when you want something," I said. "It's a choice you prove with actions, not invoices." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "What do you want from us, Mom? An apology? To beg?" "No," I said quietly. "I want you to grow up. Stop confusing love with dependence. And leave." The words struck like thunder. Ethan stood first. Clara muttered something bitter as she stormed out. Daniel lingered, torn. "I'll be here," I told him gently. "If you ever want to talk, not about money, but about us, I'll be here." He nodded faintly and followed them out. Only Sophia stayed behind, hugging me tight. "I'm proud of you, Grandma," she whispered. 6 months passed. For the first time in decades, I wasn't anyone's emergency contact, anyone's financial plan, anyone's invisible sponsor. I was just Margaret. I read books I had set aside. I strolled through the park. I even joined a painting class at the community center. Sophia visited often. She never asked for anything. She came simply to share time, laughter, love. That was enough. Daniel and Clara sold the house and moved into a smaller apartment. Ethan, to my surprise, took the job with Mr. Hawthorne. He looked different the last time I ran into him at the store. Tired, but grounded. He nodded at me. That was enough. And me? I finally went to Italy. James and I had dreamed of it once, but life had always gotten in the way. Now, I sat on a terrace in Tuscany, watching the sunset, raising a glass to myself. For the first time, I wasn't defined by what I gave. I was defined by what I kept. My peace, my dignity, my truth. My phone buzzed. Daniel's name appeared on the screen. 6 months ago, I would have answered on the first ring. But now, I simply watched as it faded to black. Because freedom doesn't come from letting go of people. It comes from letting go of permission. And for the first time in my life, I finally chose me.